What's up, guys? It is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022 AD, the first of the month, and it's Tuesday. That means this Thursday is the Men's Forum, Bond Men's Forum. Check it out, guys. It is a highlight of the month. Women's Forums, third Thursday of the month, a highlight for the ladies, I presume, those ladies who are indeed seeking for what's right, and even for those who are not, because it is so good. And it's 9:01 a.m. here in Los Angeles. This is the Hake Report. I am James Hake, and I will be getting to your calls. It is the first day of Women's History Month, by the way. Barf! It's been 10 years, a few days ago, since Trayvon Martin was killed in self-defense, but black female teachers and lawyers are calling it a murder. They should be disbarred and fired, I say. That's what I say. And speaking of black females, there's a RINO judge, a RINO conservative judge, long time, who has endorsed Biden's black female pick for the so-called Supreme Court. What a joke of a country we are becoming. And I saw this tweet about, or no, not a tweet, this report from CNN that Dan Crenshaw, the eye patch guy, the RINO from Texas, hates, F-wording hates, blanking hates, cussing about it. Nick Fuentes, how can you hate him? And he's not the only one. There's this guy named Gabe Hoffman, who I was familiar with, who also not a fan. And I have a throwback clip that he shared from 2019, or probably before, maybe around that time, that sharing a right-wing watch clip. And this Gabe Hoffman guy is a conservative sharing a right-wing watch clip, a hit piece clip against Nick J. Fuentes is the guy who does America First. I went to his rally, AFPAC, and said some funny things, slightly edgy, but funny, true, and seemingly fair in my opinion, but I will show them to you. You guys can make up your own mind. You can call in as well. And some other things, guys. But anyway, let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. Nice to see you. Shout out to the D Live crew and the YouTube crew. The faithful few over there on Facebook as well. I see you. Well, shout out to Robbie over there. I presume that I am live on the audio platforms. TalkStream Live does play my show. And JLP Live app /player. I'm on there as well. I'm on Jesse Lee Peterson's network. Thank you, Jesse Lee Peterson. And thank you to the Jesse Lee Peterson crew. Kickflip Chris, Galaxy Brain, and Nicolas, the anchor baby. Bracing for Hake's music choices. I have another beat-heavy noise track for you guys. I almost slipped and called it a song. For the top of the coming hour. I'm also on Twitter. Did you know I stream on Twitter? Formerly Periscope when it was superior in some ways, but inferior in others. And I will be reading your chats and super chats and getting to your calls. Some of you already on hold. 888-775-3773. Some of you guys watching me and Hake News at the end of the first and second hours of the Jesse Lee Peterson show were like, I didn't know Abercrombie and Fitch still sold t-shirts. I'm wearing an Abercrombie and Fitch t-shirt. I was out with Esteban, my former co-host. Did you know I had a co-host? Joel Friday and Esteban. Some people call him Esteban. We were out and we picked up some Abercrombie t-shirts. And yeah, I remember like 20 years ago, they were just pushing total degeneracy. And probably, honestly, to this day. But I like the t-shirt now and then. Wow, no Odyssey love, says Brandon M. with a super chat.
To this day.
Early super chat. Oh yeah, to this day. Early super chat on Odyssey, ODYSEE.com/@ the Hake Report. Well, thank you for the reminder, Brandon M. Yeah, Odyssey does not... Odyssey, I think it was on sale, taking care of business. I did not buy any Abercrombie jeans with holes in them for $200. I think that these were for sale. It was like a deal, like 2 for something. Hopefully not too much. But I wear my t-shirts thin. Odyssey, you can join via Odyssey, and you can super chat via Odyssey or via Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/the Hake Report, odyssey.com/@ the Hake Report /live. A lot to remember, but it's easy once you get it. But that doesn't go into my restream chat, so sometimes I don't know. Anyway, let me get right into what's going on, guys. Happy Women's History Month, March. Barf! Trayvon Martin, 10 years on. I got this from Pocket. So if you want to see some mess, go on to Pocket. Pocket is I've told you about it many times before. They grab headlines that they want to promote from liberal media. Okay, it's on the internet. And it's combined all into like this page when you open up Firefox. Don't use Firefox, guys. Use Brave, the Brave browser. But this Pocket is promoting an article from a website, a publication called Capital B. Capital B. And I can only infer, is infer a correct use of the word? That capital B is a reference to the capital B that kiss-ups have adopted in writing the word black, as in black people. They capitalize the letter B, and the whole publication is called Capital B. And so their article is Trayvon Martin, the moment that launched the Black Lives Matter movement. CapitalBnews.com. Criminal Justice. And it's written by a black female named Simone Sebastian. The Trayvon generation, 10 years after his death, reads this headline. Classmates and teachers reflect on the impact. Oh, gosh. People who knew Martin were blindsided. Excuse me. By the racial justice movement. It's not racial justice. There's no such thing that his death sparked. But is America any different 10 years later? So this article came out February 28th of just yesterday, basically, right? And the article starts out, Jerome Horton talks about the morning of February 27th, 2012. That's over 10 years ago, right? 2012. Did you know that Trayvon Martin was killed in self-defense 10 years ago? This was, if you're not familiar with the Trayvon Martin story, he attacked George Zimmerman, according to George Zimmerman. And George Zimmerman is a reliable witness, I think, in my estimation. He jumped him, because George Zimmerman thought that Trayvon was looking awfully suspicious. Trayvon is black, 17-year-old thug who was out of school. He was suspended for who knows what, maybe fighting or graffiti or being suspected of having burglarized stuff because he was found with a burglary tool in his backpack, a screwdriver, and 9 or half a dozen or a dozen items of women's jewelry in his thing that he supposedly got from a friend, according to him. Yeah, Trayvon Martin, who showed pictures of himself smoking pot with a grill, that gold tooth grill, that ugly thing that blacks like to do for some reason. Ugly. Sorry, blacks. Normally I like your style okay for being black, but that is not one of the positive aspects of your style, if you adopt that style. And he said, his Twitter handle was no limit Nga, N-Y-G-G-A. Sorry to you. I know it's very offensive to censor the N-word. And so he was an all-around thug. He was talking to his girlfriend, allegedly, on the phone, and he said, hold on, I got to take care of something. And the girlfriend thinks that he doubled back to confront and threw the first punch at the neighborhood watch, George Zimmerman. I love this story for some reason. It just stuck with me. It was, I guess, when I found out from Jesse Lee Peterson and his PR guy and others, that actually black on white crime is the rule, not white on black when it comes to interracial crime, interracial violent crime. Oh no, it's black on white by a long shot. Check out the late, great Colin Flaherty, if you doubt me, or just look around. So this Jerome Horton talks about that morning of February 27th, 2012, like he lived through it yesterday. It started with a call from his longtime friend, Tracy Martin. I think that's his father. Trayvon's father is Tracy, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Who wondered if Jerome Horton had heard from Martin's son, Trayvon. The 17-year-old had gone to a nearby 7-Eleven in Sanford, Florida. We weren't far from Sanford when we visited Orlando. I think Sanford is probably within 100 miles, is my guess. Anyway, I'm chuckling because I'm seeing the chat. Somebody says, dang, Hake actually sounds like he hates blacks, LOL, says Ron Walker. Oh, come on. No, I don't. I love the black people. They're very entertaining, and a few of them are quite decent, but not these people. Listen to this. When Tracy Martin opened his bedroom door to ask if Trayvon wanted breakfast, Trayvon wasn't there. His bed hadn't been slept in. Wow. I had not heard that aspect of the story. When I heard that Trayvon was grounding and pounding, sitting on the chest of George Zimmerman, who was a lot thinner, slimmer. Not exactly slim and thin, but a lot thinner and slimmer back then. And he was shorter than Trayvon, by the way. Trayvon was grounding and pounding, punching him, sitting on his, and he spotted the gun, by the way, and he said, "You're going to die tonight." That's what Trayvon allegedly said, according to George Zimmerman. A neighbor witness heard the screaming, "Help, help." And people tried to say, "Oh, that's Trayvon's voice screaming for help. Give me a break." So Horton, this Jerome Horton, is Trayvon's former football coach. He hadn't heard from him. Horton's own son hadn't spoken with the teen in 2 days. So Tracy Martin, filed a missing person report. When police came in, said Jerome Horton, now age 50, I guess. He was 40 back then. Trayvon, 17. They showed him pictures of Trayvon lying in the middle of the sidewalk, his dead body, I guess. Wow, that's got to be kind of a shock. A bit of a shock. I wonder how much of a shock it was. Because this guy was kind of heading for trouble. Come on, hey, Black History was last month. I know. This came out at the end of Black History Month. I didn't spot it in time. So, wow, huh? Crazy. Think about that. You're the dad of this guy, and were his parents ever married? If they were living with other people. Trayvon's parents. Poorly raised. Read The Antidote, Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood. Jesse Lee Peterson wrote that book. Came out in like 2015. And it covers the Trayvon story, talks about his life, also talks about Michael Brown, the gentle giant, another Black Lives Matter, what do you call these people? Martyrs? Martyr for BLM? I wonder what they would think of being so-called martyrs for BLM. Wonder if they'd be pleased. I don't know. Anyway, the point of this story, or part of the point of this story, I wanted to get to another character from this story. Ashley Gant, G-A-N-T-T, remembers the next morning, the 2012, February 28th, 2012, I guess, with similar clarity. The young teacher, this is a black female teacher, right? The young teacher had taken the day off from her job at Miami, typical, taking the day off. I'm half kidding. I don't know the circumstances. Taking the day off from her job at Miami Carroll City High School in Miami Gardens, Florida, and decided to check on her class. She texted one of her students. Wow, texting students in 2012? But the response she received wasn't the one she expected. You remember that student Trayvon? The student texted back to this black female then teacher. I'll tell you more about her now, present day. He was killed. Gant went to her computer to search for news about a fatal shooting near Orlando. Hey, that's where we were. Where the student said Trayvon had been. Sanford, Florida. She found an article with a simple headline, Man Killed in Sanford. I know this isn't about Trayvon, she recalls thinking. He's a teenager. I didn't believe that article was about his murder. But it was. This so-called black female teacher calling it to this day, because she's recalling thinking 10 years later. 10 years later, to this day, calling it a murder. And you know what else about this woman? I'm like, this is a teacher, a black female teacher, calling it a murder. Trayvon murdered. They have no idea what the circumstances were of his death. Innocent unless proven guilty. You have to presume that it was self-defense on the part of George Zimmerman. If you are any person of fair mind at all, fair-minded, fair-skinned. White people tend to be more fair-minded, seemingly, right? This woman, I looked her up. I found her LinkedIn. She's a teacher calling it a murder. Worse than that, according to her LinkedIn, I searched this woman. Ashley V. Gant, Esquire. Esquire means she is a lawyer/liar. A lawyer-liar. Isn't that wild? Now she's a lawyer. And a lawyer in good standing according to the Florida bar, by the way. She should be disbarred. Shouldn't people be disbarred for calling things murder that are not? Look, member in good standing in the Florida bar, and people think that Florida is this great state to live in, and it might be. But to me, that's just let that sink in type of thing. An evil woman, young black female, former teacher, now setting a bad example for the kids. Middle school history teacher she was. Teach for America, Mississippi Delta region, she committed 2 years to be. And then she started to teach in like Miami or something. And then she went to law school, secretary for the Black Law Students Association, Children and Families Clinic. Whoa, keep this woman away from children and so-called families. Broward County, board member at the Gwen S. Cherry Black Women Lawyers Association, and president-elect for the TJ Reddick Bar Association. TJ Reddick Bar Association. The ego to use Esquire, says the Real Hydro PX. Yeah, I thought about that too. These people like to be all about that ego, that title. If you ever see a reverend doctor, I want to say 10 out of 10, but maybe 9 times out of 10, it's black. See a reverend doctor or apostle? It's black. I'm talking about these people who have their PhD, their doctorate, and they are also calling themselves a reverend doctor. Something. Jesse Lee Peterson, a simple man, has interviewed many of these people, and they are all senseless, faithless, heartless, ruthless, evil people. Totally evil. You know what else from this dumb article? Last bit of this dumb article, at least for now. They mention the elements, the details are familiar for a different reason. Oh, by the way, the students walked out of this guy's school in protest, of Trayvon's school. 10 years after Trayvon Martin was killed while walking home from a corner store carrying a bag of Skittles and a bottle of Arizona juice, watermelon cocktail. The details of the people think that was part of his concoction to make lean. Purple drank, people call it. Robitussin with Skittles. It enhances a high if you mix sugar with these drugs, according to some speculation, I guess. The details of the aftermath are seared into the memories of those who were among the first to learn of his death. The former coach who cried with his father. The English teacher who comforted his classmates. The students who walked out of his school to protest. Typical, self-important, dumb liberal, blind brainwashed, dumb students. Did I say dumb twice? They're doubly dumb. Walking out in protest. Talk about self-important. I remember there was drama between like different coaches and athletic director and the athletic program, the cross-country coach, the track coach, some assistant coaches. When I was a kid in high school, a young man in high school, and I remember it was all like all this self-important melodrama, wanting to have this emotion about something important happening. Ooh, let's be sad and dramatic. This is that. Give me a break. For the rest of us, the details are familiar with for a different reason, this woman writes. This woman, what's her name again? Simone Sebastian at Capital B News. Capital B for black. Lowercase b is how it is in reality. You're not special. The elements of Trayvon's story launched a nationwide racial justice movement. And they've replayed over the past decade, attached to other names of other black people killed by police or vigilante violence. That's such a lie. These blacks are acting out of control, acting erratic, especially Trayvon and especially Michael Brown. But they name some others. Elijah McClain in Aurora, Colorado. Okay, I don't know if that guy got erratic. Elijah McClain, if I'm not mistaken, he was wearing this open-faced ski mask where you could see his face, but he had some type of condition where he was cold a lot. And he was in Aurora, Colorado, and they tasered him or something, and he went into some kind of shock and he died. Oh, that's police violence. Give me a break. Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, the gentle giant who attacked and tried to shoot, what's that guy's name? With his own gun, the former officer, who just got smeared by the mainstream media and the Black Lives Matter establishment, right? Tamir Rice, Cleveland, Ohio. Okay, I don't blame him too much, but he didn't raise his hands right away. They said, they didn't give him enough time to respond. Tamir Rice in Cleveland, Ohio. Not a nice part of town exactly, but he was playing around with a realistic-looking, not a cap gun, a BB gun, a realistic-looking BB gun. As I recall, I remember seeing surveillance footage of him pointing it at people, brandishing it, and somebody called the cops on him and said, this guy's flashing a gun around at this park. So the cops showed up. The police dispatcher did not relay the information that the person who called the cops said, you know what, it might not be real, I don't know. They're like, hands up. Hands up, hands up. The rookie cop shot right away, pretty much right away. Who knows if they were speaking on loudspeaker, but they came up right to him. He didn't put his hands up right away. His hands were reaching more towards his waist. The cop didn't waste time, didn't want to take a risk, so they shot him. And he looked like he was like 21 years old, but he was 12 or something like that. But he was tall. He was like 5'7" or more, and like close to 200 pounds. Maybe he was 5'9" or something. He might have even been taller than me, which I'm over 5'9". I will have you know. They also mentioned Alton Sterling. Is that the fat guy who was selling CDs and he had a gun when he shouldn't have been having a gun? And they put him up. They pinned him on the ground in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And in his name, some other dumb, evil black went and killed cops, like mass murdered cops in overreaction to this. Some Nation of Islam supporter or evil person like that, maybe an Israelite. There were a couple of mass murders of cops within a week or two of each other in, I want to say, July of 2015 or 2016 maybe. Alton Sterling, who was, again, maybe he was acting a little erratic, but he was shot in the back while he was pinned down, I guess. Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky. We all know about her. Breonna Taylor sleeping with her boyfriend, who shot at the cops, and they shot back, and they hit her. Whose fault is that? Her boyfriend's. Or hers for sleeping around with the boyfriend. And being ex-girlfriends with a drug dealer, right? Ahmaud Arbery, the jogger in Brunswick, Georgia. Just to name a few. Ahmaud Arbery, the jogger who attacked a man with a gun. Attacked him. Very ill-advised. Almost like you don't value your life. Almost like you don't think that your black life matters. No such thing as a black life. Your life matters. Right? Such a shame. More like black death matters. And so they make it matter in order to wreak more evil on the world. So evil. Arbery, age 25, was killed almost exactly 8 years after Trayvon. The circumstances of their deaths were markedly similar. Not. But, unfortunately, Arbery's, the men who were trying to citizens arrest Arbery had the book thrown at them. And fortunately for Zimmerman, he was acquitted. He was part Hispanic. Anyway, what a shame, huh? Georgia repealed their citizens arrest law. Florida's stand your ground statute remains, but it had nothing to do with stand your ground because Trayvon jumped him. What a shame, huh? Anyway, that's just a little refresher. The largest social movement in U.S. history is what Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown's death launched. So ridiculous. Million Hoodie March. New Yorkers held a Million Hoodie March. Oh yeah, that black dumb, sorry kids, I keep on using dumb. Democrat politician, he wore a hoodie in Congress, got thrown out and censured. Not thrown out enough though. Evil people, huh? So sick. Anyway, let me get to a call or two. You can call in 888-775-3773. Now we have to hear about women's history. Give me a break. Here is Justin, a first-time caller in Arizona. Justin, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Good morning. Hope that all your listeners are doing good.
Nice.
Before I talk to my question, I want to say that you're right. You're right. There's an athlete, a UFC fighter called John Jones. He recently got arrested, and just his excuses why the cops were arresting him was like, "Oh, you're just arresting me because I'm big and black." I'm not lying. Watch the video. John Jones, and I look up to him, dude. He's one of my favorite fighters, dude.
Wow.
Just to see him act like that. Just to see him act like that and say things like that is like, I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Like John Jones, former light heavyweight champion. I look to him. When I work out or like when I hit the bag, he's one of the people I look up to, man. Just to see him saying that, "Oh, you guys are arresting me because I'm big and I'm black." I'm not lying. Like, look that video up, dude. One other day. So it's disappointing.
Wow.
Disappointing. But I was also asking, I'm also a bisexual male, And I hate how not all, but most LB, blah blah blah. With
Right.
the gay
Are you on a
bisexual community.
speakerphone? Come to your regular phone.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me right now?
I think that might be better.
All right. Yeah, I hate how the LGBT community and transgender are pushing their ideally, what they believe on kids, dude. And I want to say, people say that you're born gay. No. Like, I've seen things and I watched things when I was a kid that, influenced me to be how I am today.
Right.
I am a bisexual male, so like it just pisses me off how fucking weirdos and
Keep it clean, man.
perverts. No, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, sir.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm so angry how weirdos can talk to people's kids and like try to teach them like that. That makes, because you're jacking up that kid, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
how me, man. Like my mom, I love her, and she always did what a parent would do, but she just wasn't there. She was always partying. So I had when I see like I don't know if you've seen a show called Oz. It was an old prison show on HBO. There was a graphic rape scene, man on man, and I seen that. That was the first sex thing I ever seen, dude.
As a kid?
But my mom, as a kid, and I don't know, I didn't have anybody explain it to me. You know what I mean? And then I grew up liking that. And then I would see kids bully another kid, and I would say, "What did he do?" And he's like, "Well, he's gay," and all that. So, I felt, and people are like, "Well, didn't like sex ed, like, dude, sex ed, like in school, like, dude, as a kid, you trust your parents and all that
Right.
stuff, not to make fun of you and all that." Like, I didn't have my parents. My dad died. My mom, she did everything. I'm not going to hate her because she did everything that a parent should do. Fed us, clothed us. Whenever I asked them, she just was always partying. She was never there. So when I see things like that, I had nobody to talk to or explain it to me. So, you know what I mean? That's what I get. I get angry, dude. Angry how the LGBT, and not all, like, again, like Jesse says, not all, but most of them do that, dude. And they try to justify it and make themselves feel good.
Yeah.
And all that stuff, too. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I just wanted to say. And I also want to say, like, some things about God doesn't make any sense to me. Like, okay, like, my life, God. You know if I'm going to follow you or I'm going to die in my sins. How come you let Satan into heaven? You gave him all this power, dude. You let him see the glory of the kingdom of heaven. And I believe that you know the outcome of Satan, too, and your followers. You know what I mean? And his followers. You knew that those angels were going to, like, turn their backs on you and listen to Satan. You knew Satan was going to. So why can Satan enter the kingdom of heaven, but you're so strict on me? Like, because I like to sleep with guys and all that stuff, dude. But Satan, like, Satan, like, he turned his back on you. And
But Satan was thrown out of heaven when he turned evil.
Yeah, but God nowadays saying that.
I mean, from what I understand, according to what the Bible says and what people surmise based on what the Bible says, is that Satan started out as Lucifer, the angel of light or something like that, and then he turned proud and turned evil, and then he was thrown out of heaven.
Well, how is that any different from a preacher or someone that was following God and they lost faith and just turned his back on and started saying bad things about God?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know how it's different.
And a few more things.
Because I don't know how pure Satan, Lucifer was at the beginning. I don't know, and nor do I know how pure these so-called preachers are when they turn away.
Yeah, but God said that no one would enter the kingdom. Like, but what you allowed it before. You allowed Satan and all the angels to enter the kingdom of heaven and gave them powers that only us human beings can imagine. And I just don't understand that, dude. Like,
what? Say that again. You don't understand what about the power?
I don't understand why you would give Satan, not you.
Why God would give Satan powers?
Power and see the kingdom of heaven when he knew, just like he knows my life before and after. I'm probably going to die a sinner, to tell you the truth. But, like, why are you going to send me to hell when you allowed Satan to see the glory of the kingdom? And he sinned. And I'm guessing God, he knew that Satan was going to turn his back on you.
You're guessing that God knew that in advance?
Why would God treat human beings and angels? Like, do you think angels had to work as hard as we human beings to enter the kingdom of heaven? Or do you think he just gave them eternal life? And I don't think that's fair, dude.
But listen to yourself, man. You're groping around in the darkness because you don't know if you're going to hell. You don't know how much work it takes or doesn't take to enter the kingdom of heaven. You don't know. Right. We human beings don't even have a good judgment of right and wrong. So who are we to judge God and try to figure out God's reasoning on why he let things happen or had things happen the way that they've happened with Satan and human beings and all that stuff and evil in the world? Why even bother with it? You're not going to understand it. And it's right. Basically you're playing God. And that's what the atheists do. The atheists presume to know what evil is. And they're not the ones who diagnose what evil is. They're not the judge. God declares what's good and evil. Right? You know what I mean?
I understand that right there. Like, I shouldn't be questioning God. Like, even though, like, I'm saying this.
I don't know if you shouldn't be questioning him, but the thing is, like, you're acting like you know what would be fair, but you don't know what's fair. And why are you jealous of God's treatment of Satan versus his treatment of you?
Yes.
Yes. Wow.
Yes, I am. I have hatred that he would allow Satan into the kingdom of heaven.
But he didn't let Satan in the kingdom of heaven. When he became Satan, he was thrown out.
But he's seen the glory of the kingdom before he was thrown out.
How do you know that you haven't?
Me? Because I'm a sinner. But
how do you know that you didn't know it beforehand?
I have no memory of it.
But when you hear Jesse Lee speak the truth, don't you recognize it as truth?
Well, like, I question things and I'm not saying anything bad. I'm actually a fan of you guys right here.
Okay. When you hear Jesse Lee speak, do you hear truth from him?
Yeah, but some things that he's not even Jesse Lee Peterson, but it's my brother because he follows God, and just some people they say God, like Satan can't live without hate and all that stuff. But
yeah.
When Noah, when the flood, there was only a handful of people that God found righteous and all that stuff. Everyone else, I see them as sinners, and I guess they like Satan. So how can Satan at one it doesn't matter if it was before the Old Testament or the New. The things that I just question, like Satan can't survive without hate and all that stuff. But Noah, at the time, only his family and him were seen worthy of being spared, and everyone else, I assume, because he flooded the world, hated God and basically sin.
And I don't even know if Noah's family didn't hate God. It was just Noah himself who saved his family because he may have been righteous or righteous enough. But but his family may not have been because there were some crazy stories about. Ever heard of the curse of Ham?
No, never. I'm not going to say that I know the.
No. I'm just saying that his family may not have been that righteous. What does that have to do with you? That only.
I'm just jealous. I'm just jealous. I hate.
Jealous of Noah?
I'm jealous of all the righteous people and all that stuff. I don't know. Before, because I know you got other callers wanting to speak to you, but just a few more questions, James.
But why are you jealous of the righteous people? How do you know who's righteous?
Because I'm a sinner. I went to go get my medication, my psych medication, and somebody asked a guy told me that he wanted to hang himself, and then he asked me if I felt the same way because I told him I was depressed. I was like, no.
Yeah.
That's I don't have the courage to face God, dude. I believe in God 100%, dude, but I am disobedient. I am not loyal, but I fear God, and I'm I'm not ready to face. That's why I never kill myself, man, because I do not have the courage to face God.
But killing yourself isn't courage?
No. I didn't say it was courage. I said I don't have the courage to face God. I'm kind of stuck.
Why don't you face him while you live, though?
Because what he has to offer, I reject.
How do you know? But you don't. I don't even know if you know what he has to offer. Well, and I don't even know if you know what sin is.
Sin? Oh, yeah, sin. I'm living in sin. Dude.
But how do you know what it is?
Because I feel like it's wrong, but I still do it.
So you feel like it's wrong. You feel, but you're defining. Think about how you're judging God. And
I shouldn't judge God at all.
No. Listen, stay with me. Think about how you're judging God and how insane that is. How sane is it? No. Listen. How sane is it? Because you know it's insane to judge God, right?
Yes.
Okay. How sane do you think you are in judging yourself and naming what you think that sin is? God's the one who defines that.
I'm not the smartest person, or like I know the Bible.
No, smart people are dumb too. Think any human being judging himself. How does that make sense?
I don't.
I think what you're doing is assuming what the sin is, and you're sinning in assuming that too. You're just compounding your problems.
Well, it's like when I and excuse me, I don't mean to talk on this like your show right here. I'm sorry. I just like when I have relationships with another guy. It feels good when you're doing.
Don't get into that, man.
No. But like I'm saying, but afterwards you feel wrong and terrible.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying.
And so that's how you figure that it's a sin, because you feel guilty after the mess.
Yeah, it makes me feel terrible.
And so that's why you think that it's a sin.
I feel like it's a sin, and then by the word of the God in the Bible, it's a sin.
It doesn't say that.
That's how I'm saying. It doesn't say that.
No, it doesn't say that. It does say that you won't go into the kingdom of heaven, but it doesn't say that that's what the sin is.
Well, I got a lot to learn, Jake. I'm not lying to you. I got a lot to learn.
Yeah. How long have you been listening to JLP? I forget.
On and off, and I got to tell you that it's kind of a bummer that Joel left. That's how long I've been.
Okay, nice.
On and off.
Right on. Do you smoke pot?
Oh, yes, to deal with the depression. And can I ask you one more question, Jake?
Yeah, the chat was predicting what that you were smoking pot.
Oh, yes.
Do you do JLP's silent prayer?
No.
Why not?
Why? Because I don't have a strong relationship with God. I don't want to.
But that's not why you. That's not a reason not to do the silent prayer, because you don't have a strong relationship with God. That's how you get one. You're supposed to pray without ceasing.
True. Hey, maybe you're right, Jake.
Have you ever called JLP's office at Bond for private counseling?
To tell you the truth, with inflation and gas prices, I can't afford his services. To tell you the truth.
Call in and just call the office, and you don't even know how much it costs. Do you know how much it costs?
I called once. Yeah, it was like $50, almost $50. I may be over or under, but $50 is a session. It's just like everything.
You can afford pot, but you can't afford. To get one session of counseling. It's not like we don't try to hook you. I say we. JLP and Bond don't try to hook you in for like multiple sessions. Just one session.
No. It's just like I can get a gram of marijuana for $10 and smoke it. And how many grams do you smoke in a month? I'm really an alcohol drinker. So I smoke
alcohol is expensive too, man.
Shoplift it.
Oh my gosh, he shoplifts it. Are you Mexican or white or what are you?
I don't want to say Mexican because I'm American.
Okay.
I was born here. I'm just an American with brown skin.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I'm proud to be American.
Nice.
Can I ask you one more question, James?
I don't know, man. You're making me nervous.
One more question, dude. Like Jesse Lee Peterson.
I gotta go, man. I gotta go. What a mess. The sin of envy. Jealousy is a sin, caller says, taking care of business. Well, thank you, man. Whatever. I actually didn't hang up on him. It disconnected before I pressed it, but I was hanging up on him. Anyway, people love to suffer. I got some super chats to read. Very interesting. I may touch on one of the earlier points that he made about them pushing the gay stuff on the kids. But first, I am overdue to read a few super chats, guys. Jib Jab says, hope all is well over there on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Well, thank you, Jib Jab. He also states one more thing. What do you think of Elon Musk giving free internet to Ukraine? I don't know what to think about it. He's like a soft-hearted, liberal do-gooder, South African, forget about his own country, but help Ukraine because it's popular to help Ukraine. He's like, he has how many children out of wedlock? Not to gossip about the guy, but I feel like that guy, I like him actually, but I don't know about him giving the free internet to Ukraine. Whatever, Elon Musk. Maybe that's nice. I wish the people of Ukraine well. People are acting like I took the side of Putin. I'm just not on the side of the anti-American, so-called American establishment, nor the world at large. The world, as you know, is evil. Evil. So wrong. Some more. Brandon M. over there on Odyssey, ODYSEE.com/@ the Hake Report, states, Happy Women's History Month, Hake. Happy Women's History Month. He only said it once. Did you know that on this date in 258,000 BC, the first caveman ran into a saber-toothed tiger den to escape his nagging wife? Wow. Well, thank you, Brandon M. I did not know that. I think that's fake news because the Earth is only 6 to 8 to 10,000 years old. Or am I wrong? No, I don't know if I'm a young Earth creationist or an old Earth creationist. I don't know, and I don't care. But thank you. The first caveman ran into the saber-toothed tiger den to escape his nagging wife. Happy Women's History Month on this date. Asmodor with the super chat on Odyssey.com/@ the Hake Report. Simone Sebastian, that's a reference to this black female who wrote this article about Trayvon Martin 10 years later. How morbid are these people? Asmodor states, Simone Sebastian, fat, black, lesbian? With a question mark. Quite possibly, I don't know, but a lot of those BLM supporters do tend to support all manner of evil, and they have the evil within themselves, twisting them and turning them and making them a mess. Asmodor states, women have less history than blacks. Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I don't know if you're right. I mean, in terms of doing notable things, you may be right. Because it's the men's job to do the notable things. The things about which you write, you know? You can write about the everyday things that women do. It's nice. Proverbs wrote something about it, like a woman who... Did Proverbs do it? Something. Woman who takes care of the home and the children and isn't a gossip, and is upright and quiet, obedient, honors the man, not nagging, like a constant dripping is a woman nagging. That's very limited history, and so, yeah, I suppose that's true. But, yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah. Blacks didn't write as much, so they don't have as much history, and they also, I don't know, didn't do as much. They had stayed in the shade. It was too hot to be out doing stuff. Jib Jab with the super... Oh, no, I already read that, Jib Jab. Thank you. Zenny says, homosexuality and slut-making is a sin. They are wrong. They come from sin, that's for sure. Men would be history without women, says Lisa. Shout out to Lisa and the Facebook crew. Oh, this show is not one big men's gossip column, haha, referring to my show, The Hake Report. I guess I'm just like my mama, huh? Gonna go, okay. Happy Women's History Month, says Ashley. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Let me double check over there on Odyssey, ODYSEE.com/@ the Hake Report. You know, let me get quickly to Donning Armor. Speaking of this stuff going on, this mess going on with human beings. Donning Armor in California Or maybe you
How's it
called
going,
yourself
buddy?
Christopher. I don't know. But thank you.
Yeah, no, Christopher Downing Armor, it doesn't matter.
Nice to hear from you, man. How you doing?
Always a pleasure. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing well as well. Thank you.
Uh-oh. I lost you already?
Yeah, your phone is kind of coming in and out for me, too. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay.
I won't move.
All right. Sounds good. Cool.
Okay, wonderful. So you believe in this thing that you call God?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I also was curious, how many genders are there?
2.
There's two genders, right?
Right.
Okay, male and female. So how do you reconcile your belief with God and this notion that there are 2 genders with intersexuals?
The intersex people, those are the hermaphrodites, right? The ones born with kind of both situations.
Yeah, their genitalia is...
It's all messed up.
Can't really tell. Yeah, they might have a hoo-ha on their tallywhacker or a tallywhacker in the hoo-ha or something
Okay.
to that effect.
Whoa, too explicit, man. Watch your language. How are their... What do their chromosomes look like? I don't know.
I have no idea.
There's a lot of what the atheists and the Christians might call evil in the world, and the evil results in, like there's a physical evil. I don't know if you've heard of atheists calling like a hurricane a physical evil, right? That type of stuff, I suppose, happens with the human beings. Does that? What's that?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I've never heard atheists refer to hurricanes or, any natural phenomenon as evil. But
yeah, I have. You need to listen to more atheists.
I guess I do. I only have books by all of them, essentially.
You need to listen to YouTube atheists.
Oh, goodness gracious. But we listen to YouTube people, regardless of what the subject matter is.
Sam Harris. I feel like Sam Harris, or I don't know, it's considered an evil when, I think even in traditional language, it's considered an evil when people die from an animal or a natural disaster. But anyway, calamity type of thing. But
okay,
how does that...
I haven't heard it represented as that. I've read Sam Harris as well as Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins and Daniel Dennett. I've read all the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, as they're called. And I've heard that. George H. Smith is a good author if you want to learn about atheism, but it's a very dry read. But why would God, whatever God is, why would it create hermaphrodites?
Why would he create hermaphrodites? You have to ask him when you meet him, if you get the chance. I have no idea. There's all kinds of confusion, and when I say confusion, I'm not talking about their mental confusion, because they're physically warped, right? There's all kinds of confusion and distortion. What's the word I'm looking for? Disfigurement that happens with human beings.
Yeah, there are all kinds of disfigurements.
And why wouldn't that happen with all the evil in the world and things like that?
That's an interesting take. See, because it fits completely well with, naturalistic scientific principles like evolution. It makes sense that you would get...
Does God not fit with naturalistic principles and evolution and all that stuff in your mind? Does God not fit with that?
Well, if whatever
he
is
buddy.
Okay.
Don't misgender God.
I'll try not to. But it seems a very chaotic. There seems to be a lot of suffering. It's the problem with suffering that I think is the greatest thorn in the side of theists.
How so?
It just seems like this creation. People argue for what is referred to as the teleological argument or argument from design. that things appear to be designed, right? So this argument has been made countless times, but there's so much unneeded suffering that occurs in the
How
world.
about the argument of something coming from nothing?
I don't even know what nothing is.
Right.
So even like if you were to ask, nothing is like an abstract
But how about the
concept.
argument of something coming from nothing?
I don't know what nothing is, so I can't really respond to that. But what I will say is, if you were to ask me what is nothing, I would think of like somewhere out in the cosmos, empty space with absolutely nothing. You get rid of all of the stars, all of the planets, all of the rocks and debris and everything. You get rid of gas, and it's just void, empty space.
Do you think that's how it started?
Well, even void, empty space is a something, although it doesn't make sense to me, but it doesn't need to, right? Because
And so something could come from that.
Excuse me?
And so something can come from that, and that makes sense to you?
No, but I don't expect the universe to make sense to me.
Right.
Why should it?
And you think that the evolution stuff, whatever you believe in, that makes sense to you, disproves God or something like that, or it doesn't?
No, it certainly doesn't. If I think evolution is unquestionable. I don't believe in it. I know that it's true. It's been proven true countless times over through archaeological evidence.
I don't know that it has. I don't know either way. I don't really have a dog in that fight. But anyway,
no, I'm not an expert in that field either. However,
why should we think that human suffering or suffering in general is a problem for those who believe in God?
Needless suffering that's caused by man. I understand you have an angle there. But when it comes to needless suffering, just based on inherent characteristics of the universe, of reality, that I just don't understand why this all-perfect he, all-good he, would create something so vile. Something where...
But who are you to call it vile and call it needless?
Because it causes suffering and innocence.
What's wrong with suffering?
Newborn babies that die at childbirth. There's nothing,
How much do you think that those newborn babies suffer if they're dead?
Excuse me?
How much do you think those newborn babies suffer if they're dead? It's all in your head.
Well, the newborn babies, I mean, if you're a stillbirth, then obviously I wouldn't expect much suffering. And if there were something, I wouldn't expect splits. It would have the cognitive ability to experience it. But there's also, we're plagued with diseases. We're plagued with natural occurrences, be them volcanic eruptions or earthquakes or tsunamis or whatever you want. It seems like we're kind of shot into this world out of a cannon, and it's full of barbs and bristles, and some people make it and some people don't. It doesn't seem like a very well-designed existence to me. If I were an all-knowing, all-powerful, all-encompassing, all-good being, I wouldn't create anything like this.
Thank God you're not God. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, well, you should thank God that I'm not God. Yeah, I make some changes. I make some serious changes.
Yeah, you remind me of the caller who was all messed up and confused. The first caller. Did you hear him?
The gentleman that was bisexual?
According to him, yeah. I don't believe that he was bisexual.
Okay, well, what about him?
You sound like him. You're acting like you know what good is, and you would do better than God at being God.
Well, let me ask you then. Let me ask you, what is good?
I don't know. I don't know if it's for us to define, really. Yeah, you catch a lot of times Christians like me will call things good and evil. But really, how much do we know?
So you have no moral compass.
Right, because we are not the ones who know what morals is.
But you attack atheists for not having a moral compass, and you straight up just admit right now that you do not have a moral compass yourself.
Right, but God is the one who makes the morals, and you guys reject God. As you presume to reject God. Asmodor has a super chat regarding hermaphroditism on Odyssey for you. Well, for everybody.
I'm offended. Call it intersexuality.
We like the old way is better because the new way, these people called homosexuality a mental illness, and then they got rid of it for politics.
The way that they pump out new words is beyond me. I can't even keep up with it myself. I don't care. Call it hermaphrodite.
Okay.
It's fine with me.
Asmodor on Odyssey. Hermaphroditism is so extremely rare as to be a statistical anomaly. And those who are born with hermaphroditism generally are clearly one sex, and the tiny deformity is corrected surgically in infancy. And no one is ever the wiser.
Yeah, but...
Ain't no but. Thank God for the doctors.
If God was all-knowing and all-powerful and all-good, I wouldn't expect there to be any variations. I wouldn't expect for there to be any symptoms. It just simply wouldn't exist, would it? But it does exist.
No, that's your assumption. That's your assumption. Because you're the one with this all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good, as if you know what knowing is, as if you know what powerful is, as if you know what good is. You don't even know what nothing is.
No, I'm taking those are the...
You don't know what God is, you don't know what nothing is, and you don't know what good is. But you're assuming to know what good and evil is.
As far as I'm concerned, nothing seems to be an abstract concept. But I'm taking these definitions from you. You said.
No, I never said all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good. But you pretended to not even know what God is or means. What is God?
I have no idea what it means.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Which is a fair. I like that. I like that statement. That's actually kind of deep, I think. But why are you presuming to know what good is?
A broken clock is right twice a day, something like that.
No, I think that's actually a true thing that you. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe a broken clock.
So it was actually Asmodor, I believe, but he super chatted and he, defined whatever it is.
Yeah, he may have said that. That's true.
Yeah, and so I'm just using that as my reference point.
Okay.
So,
but what makes you think you know what good is? That's an abstract concept.
Yes.
Lack of suffering is good in your mind?
No, not necessarily.
See?
Okay. What I would say good is, if I were to try to define it, the best that I've ever heard was from Sam Harris. He's an atheist author.
And he's a Trump hater. Lame. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't like him. He's kind of lost me. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but what's that?
I think that his understanding of what is good would be to reduce suffering. I would qualify that with needless suffering.
Uh-huh.
And to bring that as close to zero as possible.
Mama. And you guys are playing mama. You think like women. Pathetic. Think about it. Do I sound like I'm being facetious?
You sound like you're being straightforward.
Yeah. I think that's a mama type of mindset. You guys think you know better than God.
No, because I would say if a kid falls down and scrapes his knee or busts his chin or whatever, that's a learning experience.
Right.
There is good in it.
Uh-huh.
It's better to hurt yourself when you're young than to hurt yourself when you're older.
Yeah. Very true.
So there is good in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I completely accept that. But needless suffering,
But who are you to call it needless?
What do I call it needless?
No, I said, who are you to call it needless? Because you explained that, it's through no fault of anybody's own that we can tell and all that. I understand that. But who are you to call it needless? You don't know what the bigger purpose is or if there needs to be a bigger purpose or anything.
So regardless of if somebody's life is ruined or extinguished, it's good because you're God. And if their life is raised up and they become rich and wealthy and have a lot of babies, then that's good because you're God. It seems like there's no other opportunity. There's nothing else that you can go to.
Should God not have allowed Satan and chaos into the world?
You're asking an atheist these questions.
I mean, you're acting like you know how God should have done it.
What I'm trying to say is all of the lives that are needlessly lost.
Needlessly, according to you.
Not the people that die in...
Who cares about death? You don't care about death. Think about it.
Of course I do.
No, I mean, your loved ones, yeah, you care about those. But you don't care about all these deaths that are happening. Nobody cares about that stuff. Only the emotional people, intellectual people get themselves worked up about it, but they don't really.
I'm not worked up about it.
No, I know, but you act like you care about death. I don't think that God cares about death the way that human beings care about death.
Okay, well, let's take the nation of Philippines. It was hit with 52 tsunamis last year.
I think I saw that on Sam Harris's video. Oh, last year? Okay, never mind. That was several years ago.
Okay, so, I mean, I don't know those people.
They deserve it.
They deserve it?
I'm playing around. I don't know. I got...
All right, well...
I think that we understand your point, though. I think we understand that why would God allow this evil, right? Or this calamity that doesn't seem to be anybody else's fault.
It's unnecessary suffering.
Says you. Asmodor with a couple more super chats for you. Yawning Armor's comically pedantic argumentation is tiresome to say the least. Reddit called, they want their Star Trek underoos back.
Okay.
You're not laughing.
Thank you.
Okay. And he also states with another super chat, if I were all-knowing, I would not blank. Said all the least self-aware people ever. If you're not all-knowing, you can't know what you would do if you did. Isn't that an interesting point? Since you aren't all-knowing, you don't know what you would do. You don't even know what you would do if you were me.
I'd have a good idea, and it wouldn't involve the deaths of millions of babies around the world every year.
You have a good idea, even though you don't know everything. And since when are you a pro-life or pro-abortion?
If God is the, whatever God is, if it's what you say it is, then wouldn't you expect a better design than this, where tens of thousands, hundreds of millions of innocent lives are lost? Who says
they're innocent? Who says we should care about the lives lost? Are you pro-life or pro-abortion?
I wish to reduce abortion as low as we can. However, I do see that there are circumstances and situations where it's needed.
Such as?
If there's complications in the pregnancy where the life of the child, the life of the mother are compromised.
By compromised life, you mean like the child will be like deformed or suffering throughout life if you don't kill him?
Deformed, or if the pregnancy is shown that it's going to kill the mother, then I'm all for abortion. But I'm not pro-abortion.
All right.
I just, it's an option there. I think that it is being abused, especially when they talk about aborting fetuses that are up to the delivery date and stuff like that. That's monstrous to me. That's absolutely disgusting.
Okay, last super chat, and then I gotta hang up with you. Nice talking with you, though. Asmodor states, without evil to struggle against, men cannot be forged into greatness. Without chaos, I put a WH. Without chaos and entropy to struggle against, great societies and orders cannot be built. The one cannot exist without the other.
Okay, well, I think that an all-knowing, all-powerful entity would come up with something better than a design that dooms millions to die in pain and suffering for absolutely no reason, especially the innocents. If he wanted us great, he could have created us great.
I don't know if he wanted us great. Taking care of business states, imagine trying to tell God how to be God. The last person that tried that was thrown out of heaven. Anyway, nice talking with you, Donning Armor. Christopher,
all right,
take care, man. Adios. Okay, guys, we are over the top of the hour. Well over. No, you did not miss Hake's beautiful non-music. This is not Holly Drift. This is Anaphylaxis, friends with Holly Drift. He's friends with Holly Drift. Jason Kaufman, Anaphylaxis. The track is entitled VFD. It's on the 2005 album Noise for Lovers. But it is a Christian man making this music. He even performed at Cornerstone Music Festival, a Christian music festival out of Peoria, Illinois, somewhere around there. VFD by Anaphylaxis. Enjoy. Cover your ears, grin and bear it, press mute, go rake the leaves or shovel snow, you musical Philistines, and I'll be right back for the rest of Hour 2. Hang tight. Well, isn't this nice, guys? Hake trying to hypnotize us. No. Well, I mean, that's what music is, right? Not bad, James. It's different. Well, thank you, Jib Jab. Appreciate it. The CD is skipping, says Robbie over on Facebook. Better than usual. Jesuit Crook. Live vids states. Peoria, a black haven, crime, hose, pimps, black on black crime. Really? Peoria, Illinois? Very soothing, says Jib Jab. Well, thank you. Hake, while on break, go to World Star and check out, whoa, dude tried to move an active cannon and instead blew his hand off. No thanks, but thank you for the visual, Real Hydro PX. About time, music time, says Tim Scott, not to be confused with the RINO senator. This is the real Tim Scott, not the RINO. Very cool. Hate called us names. End of the suffering. That's right, I called you musical Philistines. Like I know anything. Never wanted to hear Hake's music more than now. Wash out my ears of dumb stuff. This is 90s electronic tunes. Oh, it's music? Okay. Not exactly. What in the fake Christian music? Well, I appreciate it, guys. You can call in 888-775-3773. I have more stuff to get to. I want to cover this funny clip, or funny couple of clips combined together, of Nicholas J. Fuentes from people who totally disagree with him, even though they're conservative, purportedly. And let you guys decide, although I will give my opinion about it. There's some older clips, but they're funny. A nice throwback, nice reminder about why people act like they should hate him or something like that. Give me a break. Dan Crenshaw. But first, guys, did you hear about this RINO judge? CNN touting this RINO judge. I call him a RINO because of these two instances only. That's the only thing I know about him. J. Michael Luttig, Luttig, a so-called conservative judge, writes CNN. They think the Supreme Court is 6-3 conservative or something like that. Or something like that. 5-4, whatever. No, we got two conservatives, maybe. Not Scalia. Scalia's dead. Rest in peace. That other guy that, man, now I'm blanking. Alito. Yeah, Alito seems okay. Seems pretty conservative. Pretty straightforward. Maybe even a Christian. And the great Justice Clarence Thomas. Solid guy as well. I think he is a Christian. Friends with Jesse Lee, by the way. Jesse Lee Peterson. One of Jesse Lee's earliest TV shows that they recorded with Bond in the 1990 or 1991 was a discussion amongst blacks and maybe somebody else, some others, about then Judge Clarence Thomas and about his nomination to the Supreme Court. And these phony, dumb liberal and RINO blacks were all hating on him pretty much. Jesse Lee, I think, was maybe the only guy who was pro Clarence Thomas. All the other dumb black intellectuals are dumb. It's not good to be intellectual. We're against him. Well, here's this J. Michael Luttig, conservative judge who advised Pence on the 2020 election. What? Endorses Biden's Supreme Court nominee. I mentioned this yesterday. Sleepy Joe Biden, according to the news, I don't know, on Friday, supposedly nominated this female, black female, Ketanji. What? No offense to anybody called Ketanji, but you don't belong in the Supreme Court. A female, much less a black female, much less a black liberal female appointed by Sleazy Joe? No. Jamie Gangle and Ariane DeVogue, two female journalists, wrote this article. Exclusive! Prominent conservative judge who advised Pence endorses Biden's Supreme Court nominee. So then he's not a conservative. And so I looked at this letter, Luttig letter endorsing Judge Jackson for Supreme Court, this black female so-called judge, whom I talked about yesterday. She had all these anti-Trump things, anti-Trump decisions, including one that was overturned about deportations. And so he put out this whole statement on, he wrote it up on Microsoft Word, this little statement, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs. And some of these paragraphs are just one sentence. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is eminently qualified to serve on the Supreme Court of the United States, writes this J. Michael Luttig, former judge, United States Court of Appeals. I'll tell you more about this guy. Indeed, she is as highly as credentialed and experienced in the law as any nominee in history, says this guy, just groveling, just kissing up. I don't know if groveling is the right word. Just kissing up to this black female so-called judge, Ketanji. Having graduated from the Harvard Law School with honors, clerked at the Supreme Court for Breyer, who's not a Christian, a liberal so-called justice. Granted, he's old, so he's a little bit more down to earth, I think. Even the older far-left liberals oftentimes tend to be a little bit more down to earth in certain ways than the off-the-deep-end young bucks, right? But that doesn't mean anything good, and served as a federal judge for almost a decade. Republicans and Democrats alike should give their studied advice and then their consent to the president's nomination. Republicans in particular should vote to confirm Judge Jackson. This guy's lame. A female? A black female? A black liberal female? Republicans prematurely judged President Biden's nominee when the president first announced he would nominate a black woman to the vacancy created by Justice Breyer's retirement. This is J. Michael Luttig, I guess is how you pronounce his last name. He goes on, the president knew at the time that there were any number of highly qualified black women on the lower federal courts, from among whom he could choose, including Judge Jackson. And Republicans should have known that the president would nominate one of those supremely qualified black women. That's almost that is a oxymoron. You're an ox and a moron, to quote that movie, Oscar. Supremely qualified black women? Sorry, black ladies. You're supremely qualified to get married and have babies and stay married and raise those babies right for 3 years and then give them to the father to take over. And that's not even really supremely qualified. You just qualify for that. Being a human being. To succeed Justice Breyer, who didn't belong on the court either. He's not a Christian. We're a Christian nation. Justice Breyer was not a Christian. Did you know that? With the confirmations of Justices Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett, the Republicans now have a comfortable majority on the court that they sought for 4 decades. Be quiet. That's not a majority. Because those are RINOs. Anyway, he says Republicans should vote to confirm Judge Jackson out of political calculation. No, even if they cannot bring themselves to confirm her out of political magnanimity. Oh, so magnanimous. I'm going to let a black female ruin the Supreme Court even worse than it already is, so-called Supreme Court. Republicans should then proudly take the deserved credit, for their part in elevating the first black female jurist to the Supreme Court of the United States. I want to use that word. But I guess I will not use that word. It starts with a C, and it's not a good thing to be. It's bad. You're bad, Michael Luttig. And so, I looked this guy up. He used to be a fairly good-looking, almost sensible-looking guy. And he signed up for Twitter. He signed up for Twitter before the last Stop the Steal rally. The final Stop the Steal rally was on January 6th, 2021 in Washington, D.C. It was In the words of Nick J. Fuentes, awesome. But there were some people who got a little out of hand. And some people liked that. They liked to cheer that on. But I think that that was passion. And passion is unwise. Passion, you should fight dispassionate. So a week ago, this thing came out. This news came out. How Michael Luttig used Twitter to help Mike Pence defy Donald Trump. This is another CNN Politics article. Anatomy of a tweet. The behind-the-scenes story of how retired federal judge Michael Luttig used Twitter to try to stop an insurrection. Oh, be quiet. I'm going a little overboard. But, and so he tweeted this dumb thread. And oh my gosh, I got to read you this little line from this article. The following account is based on first-hand interview of Luttig gave CNN late last year about his surprise involvement in the events leading up to January 6th. And so it was also first reported by Politico. Politico had an interview with this guy. Politico's far left. CNN is far left. What is this guy doing? I thought he was a conservative. So this guy is talking about some guy that he was had prior association with, a guy named Eastman, who was the inspiration for Trump saying that Mike Pence, the vice president under Trump, could say, hey, now, hold on, I'm the last safeguard in election integrity. Let me keep the shenanigans at a minimum. And so Trump wanted Mike Pence to mitigate the shenanigans by doing what Trump wanted him to do, but he did not do that. He did not do that. And Mike Pence had called a bunch of people, what should I do? Oh, I want to play it safe and be a safe politician. And I like Mike Pence to this day. A lot of you guys really hate him.
To this day!
But Pence, being a typical Pence, listening to the establishment, former governor of Indiana, I think. So he listened to these tweets. Somehow he caught wind of these tweets that Luttig said. So this Luttig guy, okay, let me go and find where he talks about this thing. He saved it. He's such a boomer, or older maybe, that he saved instructions on how to set up his Twitter thing. And he first typed out his statement in a Word document, then counted out the number of characters and cut and pasted them into 7 precise threads. And he said, listen to this, typical intellectual dumb liberal, RINO. I'm a perfectionist, so I went over it maybe 5 or 10 times on Twitter before I pushed the button, getting it exactly the way I wanted it, to making sure that there were no typos, and then finally push the button. Okay, boomer. And I love boomers. But this guy is a disappointment. So at precisely 9:53 a.m. Eastern on January 5th, Luttig, I'm pronouncing it differently every time, tweeted out his statement that the Constitution gave Pence no powers to reject electors and overturn the election as Trump was demanding. So this guy is no conservative, at least not the kind that I think should be listened to, especially not if he's promoting this woman. The only responsibility and power of the vice president under the Constitution is to faithfully count the Electoral College votes as they have been cast. So claims Judge Luttig, January 5th, 2021, the day before the insurrection, which it was not. The Constitution does not empower the vice president to alter in any way the votes that have been cast, either by rejecting certain of them or otherwise. So this guy claims. That's his interpretation. And sleazy, well, should I call him sleazy? This is the first time I'm calling Pence sleazy. I don't want to call him sleazy. Sleazy Pence, Sleepy Pence, he caught wind of this and thanked him for it and said, oh, Mr. President, my boss, I can't do what you want me to do because look at this here. He says that I can't do it. Some dumb retired judge on Twitter who's now promoting a black female judge as a good idea for the Supreme Court. Give me a break. Right? Right. And did you show this one where it's like showing an older picture? This is a column from the LA Times out just last week by Jackie Kalmiz. Conservative judge joins the resistance. What? This is from 2022. The resistance? The resistance? How is this guy joining the resistance? The latest conservative to join the resistance? Ted Cruz's mentor. So I guess this guy mentored a fellow RINO, Ted Cruz, senator from Texas. I call him a RINO because he kisses up to women and kisses up to giving soccer balls to illegal alien children with lame but nice Mormon Glenn Beck. This guy, they're all the same. But you look at him, he looks like kind of young, kind of almost borderline Chad, but he's a little soft, apparently. So this guy's member of the resistance. They're pretending that it's, the resistance against the empire. Trump, one man, and the whole establishment calls themselves the resistance, pretending that they're the underdogs. Give me a break. This guy's been in bed with top honchos for, look, so many of his law clerks, 40 over 15 years, were hired by Supreme Court justices. This guy's law clerks, federal judge J. Michael Luttig. He is a establishment so-called judge in the background. So anyway, I have a newer picture of him from Twitter. His Twitter pic. He's all looking older. I mean, he still looks fine, but what a shame. What a waste. With his glasses. I'm looking at this picture. Wearing a lapel mic, talking like he's all important. Please. So I just had to share that with you. There's RINOs in our midst. There's still a resistance against Trump a year after he's been out and marginalized. Almost as bad as Nick J. Fuentes has been marginalized. Oh, man. Crazy, huh? Pathetic. Anyway, you guys can call in 888-775-3773. But I have some fun, interesting clip to share with you. You know, over the weekend, I went to AFPAC 3, America First Political Action Conference. Jesse Lee was speaking there. I wanted to go and shout out to the people. Many people attended as well. Many people were... I didn't get to see Ethan Ralph, but he was there. I didn't know that there were so many people there that I didn't even see Ethan Ralph of the Ralph Retort, the kill stream. I didn't see him. And he's not an easy guy to miss. So there was a lot, that's a testament to how many people there were there. Like 1,200, I think it was. Wow. Anyway, I told you yesterday about all this drama. Marjorie Greene went to CPAC, to AFPAC. She also went to CPAC. I'm shaking my head because CPAC is the Conservative Political Action Convention, at which JLP has also spoken multiple times, I do believe. I saw one from 2007, and it was not as flashy as the ones as they are today. Not as flashy. More just down-to-earth, real people talking, like Jesse Lee. Very cool. But he went to AFPAC this time and spoke there, and it was cool. And we talked about it yesterday on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and it was quite a success. Elijah Schaffer, though, on Twitter, I saw this tweet. Because Marjorie Greene came under attack because she went and spoke there. It was a surprise, a welcome surprise. The Queen, Marjorie Greene, even though she's a woman, I don't like women being congressmen and stuff like that. But she's stood up for the January 6th protesters alongside other decent conservative men in the Congress. One of the few. and she's stood with Trump. She was accused of being all about those Jewish space lasers. I've never heard her talk about that. But anyway, Elijah quote tweeted this man who said, this man named Gabe Hoffman, whom I have heard of before, said, MTG, that's short for Marjorie Greene. She uses her maiden name Taylor. Lame. And other elected officials who attended the Nick Fuentes conference full of Jew-hating racists should be expelled from the Republican Party. That's it. Gabe Hoffman tweeted. So Elijah Schaefer, also known as Slightly Offensive, who has appeared on The Fallen State and the Jesse Lee Peterson show over the years, recently moved to another state, like so many have been forced to do or have done or about to do. Elijah Schaefer tweeted in response to Gabe Hoffman, whom I was familiar with before. I thought that he was an okay guy. Elijah Schaefer says, I'm so tired of people like you, so out of touch. You're afraid of a 23-year-old who rented a hotel conference room and got 1,200 people there, and got Marjorie Greene over there, and got Paul Gosar over there, and Sheriff Joe Arpaio, former sheriff, the greatest, a living legend, a living hero, and got Paul Gosar as a congressman, got former Congressman Steve King, got JLP. It was a major conference. But yeah, he's afraid of a 23-year-old who rented a hotel conference room. Must be a member of a very vulnerable and weak political faction, says Elijah Schaefer. Would hate to be your ally. I want to win, not cry on Twitter about an event I wasn't invited to. I'd heard of Gabe Hoffman before because Gabe Hoffman was at another event that I attended called Night for Freedom, a Night for Freedom in Washington, D.C., where also I met for the first time in person a guy who was at AFPAC 3. And I met him there again, too. Jared Taylor of American Renaissance. Jared Taylor was there. Gabe Hoffman was there at Night for Freedom. A Night for Freedom in Washington, D.C., like 2018 or 2019. And Jesse Lee was there. He spoke. Milo Yiannopoulos was there. He was at both events. So I thought Gabe was one of us. I thought that he was like America First. He is part of this organization or founded this organization or started this ongoing, maybe it's a documentary called An Open Secret. And An Open Secret is this project or Twitter account or organization or documentary or all four or all five or whatever those things are that exposes and looks at, I think at Hollywood maybe, and I think at the political establishment and their sexual wrongdoing. I think it's with regard to children. I could be mistaken. Maybe it's just, quote unquote rapes and things like that. But I think it has to do with children, an open secret. And, Hollywood is really degenerate. Washington, D.C. is really degenerate. Much of the politicians in power have major egos, and they're sexually out of control. With great power comes great responsibility. They have all this worldly power and can get away with all these different things, and they have all these opportunities. They fall into all kinds of crazy temptations. And anyway, some of them are perverse from the beginning. That's why they want to seek after power. So sick, huh? And yeah, and so I thought that this Gabe Hoffman guy who's involved in exposing these people was a good guy, and maybe he might still be. He just has a blind spot here, apparently. I think he is a Jewish guy, and this is part of his hang-up with Nick, who is a Christian, a white Christian. A lot of white Christians and a lot of Jewish whites, if you will, or whatever, the people who are here in America, they have this clash going on. Liberal and so-called conservative. Gabe Hoffman calls himself conservative. So he Gabe quote tweeted his own 2019 tweet, reminiscent of Benny Johnson of TPUSA. TPUSA got groiped. Remember that? Benny Johnson is a meme maker. He makes memes and cuts videos and things. Talented guy, I think. At TPUSA, Turning Point USA, purportedly a conservative college political action club thing. but they're kind of mainstream, kind of establishment, kind of kissing up to the gays, kissing up to the women, the blacks, the illegals, just, ugh. And so Gabe apparently was, quote, tweeting about Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. And he tweeted this, and I have this clip, I think. Clip 11 there. Nobody is calling Jew haters like Nick Fuentes to get banned from Twitter for his position on foreign aid to Israel. Cassandra Rules knows that. And he's, quote, and he's tweeting this woman, Cassandra, formerly Fairbanks. She got married, changed her name. She writes for Gateway Pundits, this gay conservative outlet. And then so Gabe Hoffman says, people are calling for Jew haters like Nick Fuentes to get banned from Twitter for stuff like this. And it's an amazing thread, actually. Listen to this video. I bleeped it out. It's a little, he cusses a little bit. This is Nick J. Fuentes in an old clips from 2019 or earlier, getting it off his chest about fellow whites, fellow purportedly Christians, and fellow conservatives like Dinesh D'Souza and Matt Walsh, mainstream conservative guys who a lot of us thought that they were on our side, but they tend to kiss up to the racism thing. Not good. So listen to Nick getting it off his chest. And is it hate? I don't know. Listen to this. Here it is, talking about Dinesh D'Souza and Matt Walsh and others who are bashing the whites after some mass shooting by some purported white. Listen to this.
To the American creed, but what do you know about the American creed? And Dinesh D'Souza, President Trump should make a speech talking about the roots of white nationalism and white supremacy. When the did you get here? 1990? Dinesh D'Souza. I'm sorry, anybody sounding like Dinesh D'Souza signed the Constitution of the United States or the Declaration of Independence? I don't remember that. I remember Dinesh D'Souza got Sam Francis's career destroyed because he's a liar. Sorry for the language, but, really, Dinesh D'Souza is going to roll up to our shore from India, from smelly, open defecation India, and he's going to tell us that Robert E. Lee was a racist and, our ancestors were villains, as long as they were Democrats, so Dinesh D'Souza can go to and all these people can. So I understand that President Trump is under a lot of pressure. A little hot. He's under a little bit of a gamer moment there. Kid 2000 says it's very refreshing to see some people stay consistent and not take a self-defeating defensive position. Much appreciated. Keep it up. Well, thanks. Yeah, we just can't do that. We can't play this game of, I disavow white supremacy. And notice how the claws come out. All these pussies, frankly. And again, sorry for the language, but that's what it is. People like, who's this Matt Walsh guy? Total faggot pussy. And, he's always like this. And when a white person does a shooting, suddenly he's a big tough guy. I think these white racist scumbags should get public executions, and we should hang them and be brutal. That's the only thing that's going to stop these people. Yeah, you're a real tough guy. You're a real fucking tough guy, sorry for the language, disavow the language, but, that's what it is, these people. It's a very latent hatred for their own people, for white people, if it's not their own people. Matt Walsh, Shabbos Goy, race traitor. That's what it is, folks. I know some people don't like to use that expression, but it's totally true. Throwing his own people under the bus. He hates white people. Nobody else talks like that about their own people except for white people, and it's gross. This white racist scumbag should be hanged in public, and we should be brutal about it. Yeah, okay. Keep typing on twitter.com, faggot pussy, race traitor. You work for Jews, That's gonna get me in trouble.
So that's Nick J. Fuentes. And by the way, that was a right-wing watch clip. A conservative referencing a right-wing watch clip of Nick J. Fuentes' show. He was getting it off his chest about people kissing up to the racism thing and being all melodramatic all of a sudden about the racism thing. And it's quite interesting. Making the point that that Matt Walsh, I think he's a Catholic, is working for a non-Christian. And I had noticed that a lot of those guys whom I used to like and still kind of like them, they have these blind spots about the whites and about the Christians and about the truth tellers, plain old truth tellers like Donald J. Trump, Ben Shapiro, and even the great Dennis Prager. At one point, he was for anybody but Trump when in the 2016 primary election. And I was like, Trump or nobody else. And I guess it's that blind spot, that non-Christian blind spot, that intellectual blind spot where you just can't see the simple truth that the white Christians like Donald Trump or Nick Fuentes are telling. Crazy, huh? Jeff Casey says, I like his style after watching it. Yeah, I mean, he's just being very frank, cussing up a storm, but he's being very frank, and yet it sounded to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded to me like it was also kind of good-natured still. Amazing thread from Gabe Hoffman, some funny stuff. Let me see if I can read some of these. But why is he referencing right-wing watch clips? Right-wing watch are enemies of the people. They are enemies of America. You're teaming up with them? But Gabe Hoffman is, I think he is Jewish himself, and so maybe he's taking that personally. And a lot of times, again, these people have this mindset that, oh, this slavery and this racism, and they link the black struggle with the Jewish struggle against the Nazis, and they can't see right from wrong. He brings up other times where he's talked about different things, where there was one funny one. The phrase he's quote tweets right-wing watch, this Gabe Hoffman guy. The phrase America first sure has an odd meaning when used by the likes of Nick Fuentes. Honestly, I want China to take back Taiwan, this is Nick Fuentes saying, supposedly quoted as saying by Right-Wing Watch. I want Russia to take back Ukraine, if for no other reason than it's time for America to be humiliated. Well, that is America first, because this is not America being humiliated. It's the American establishment, which is anti-American, being humiliated. In addition to being a racist and an anti-Semite, Nick Fuentes is also a virulent misogynist. That means he hates women, right? No such thing. Remember when Chris Brown beat up Rihanna? Gabe Hoffman quotes him. I supported that, says Nick Fuentes. On women voting, I guess he doesn't support women voting. Well, congratulations. What a mess, huh? So, division in the ranks, whatever. But I had to share that with you. I wanted to just bring back a little reminiscent thing of why these people get all crazy. Oh, he's a white nationalist. Let me show you this screenshot that I took from in the main folder, MTG Nick Fuentes white nationalist picture. It's just a screenshot from this video where Marjorie Greene, this politician, is being interviewed by media hacks, liberal media hacks at CPAC. And this guy, and it's not a clip, but I saw it on Odyssey. And the headline was falsely stating Marjorie Greene disavows Nick Fuentes. But that's not true. So look at this clip with this guy with his raised eyebrows here, with his cell phone camera and his press pass at CPAC, and she's telling him to shut up because she's trying to make a point. She keeps on stopping him from interrupting her, interrupts him while he's interrupting her. And she's all, I don't know anything about Nick Fuentes, but I supported those 1,200 people who were America first, Christ is king, the Democrats are evil. And this guy's all, do you support white nationalism? He's a white nationalist. He's a white nationalist. Give me a break. They hate whites, they hate nationalists, and they hate Christians. That's the media for you. And she's all, well, I certainly don't endorse that ideology, meaning white nationalism, because that's the boogeyman. The boogeyman. Give me a break. Anyway, guys, let me get to a call or two. Dielawn, out of Los Angeles, California. Dielawn, how you doing?
Oh, hey, what's up, James?
My former de facto producer. Nice to hear from you, man.
Oh, yeah, back from the good old days. A voice from your past. What's up?
I got to get back in touch with you. I'm remiss.
What happened to that? You've forgotten how to use your telecommunication device.
I know. Yeah. I'll get back with you, man, for sure.
Did you see our favorite Jay leftist friend was on Joe Rogan? I was blown away by that. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah. You're referring to a former guest of mine that you got on my show. What's his name again?
Ben Burgess.
Ben Burgess. Outright Marxist. I think he calls himself a Marxist. He appeared on Joe Rogan's show.
But he's the nicest, coolest. He might be my favorite Marxist. I like that guy.
Don't
you like that guy?
He did a book kind of bashing. I mean, the cover of his book kind of bashes Ben Shapiro, and he says, "Give them an argument." And
that makes me like him more.
It mocks the "facts don't care about your feelings" line from Ben Shapiro, the Jewish young conservative guy.
Well, that makes me like him more. But
I know.
He also bashes the left, though. I mean, he says he bashes the left for saying, like, you guys need to learn how to freaking argue. You can't just not have the debate. And so I respect that. And I think he seems like a nice guy. But
you know what?
Wrong.
That's partly what I appreciate some of the intellectual atheists for is they argue and they have you consider things that in a way that you may not otherwise consider, such as, I don't know if you heard earlier in the show, but there was this caller who's atheist who said, I don't know what God is, what that even means. And that's so true, and it just makes you ponder things in a different way. So anyway, that's cool, I guess.
But I was wondering, I think you already addressed it a little bit, but I wanted to talk to you about it, what your thoughts were on Stu Peters, who I had never heard of before yesterday, but as I was watching it, I was thinking, this guy kind of stole the show. I thought he was the most entertaining speech. I thought he was really passionate and just, but he attacked Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I wanted to know what you think of that. He attacked her for kind of owning the libs by actually outright embracing reparations for black people,
right?
Just because it was the opposite position, seemingly, to Joe Biden, and he attacked her to her face. What did you think of that? Was it based or was it inappropriate?
I felt that it was a little inappropriate, although I didn't disagree with the factual. I didn't disagree if factually what he said was true. I think that it was a valid complaint, but it was not the right time and place. I thought that it was quite interesting, his speech. I don't know if it was to her face. She may have already gone off back to do whatever, go home or whatever. I don't know if she stayed there. Did you see, and I kind of wish that they'd all stayed there, including him, because he up and left afterwards, and he went off to, according to Nick Fuentes, he went off to Daily Beast, some writer at Daily Beast, and talked more crap about Marjorie Greene. And for me, that's like, why are you going to the enemy to bash somebody who's not a perfect ally, not a perfect friend? Because she's definitely not perfect. That was his criticism, if it's true, which I don't remember, it might have been true. I kind of agreed with that. She shouldn't be kissing up to the blacks like that, promoting reparations. But I appreciated her showing up. Did you see Nick Fuentes' response later at the end of the show in his speech? He made a side note addressing, not naming him in particular, but addressing him without naming him and talking about Marjorie Greene. I
was just going to ask, what did he, give me that details.
So Nick came up at the end of the speech after they cut off Joe Arpaio because he was speaking kind of long, who was great. He was
awful.
He was awful? He was my second favorite speech. Jesse's was my first favorite, and then Joe Arpaio was my second favorite. Was he too meandering for you, or what?
He was awful. I was just like, get off the stage. Why do old people think that they are entitled to take like 90% of the airtime of whatever space they're in? It's like, have you noticed that? Like the older people are,
I'll tell you, he didn't seem
ageist, but
he didn't seem to go as long. Stu Peters seemed to go longer. Stu Peters' speech dragged more for me than his.
well, his was relevant and seemed like fitting for the time and place. Joe Arpaio seemed like he didn't know where he was.
Joe Arpaio speaks from the heart. He doesn't do pre-prepared speeches, so he doesn't read. And I loved it. But anyway.
Wait, you didn't think Stu Peters was speaking from the heart? He seemed totally from the heart.
He was his heart seemed kind of angry, and I agreed with a lot of the things that he said, but it was kind of a drag to my heart. It like pulled the spirits down. He was just too angry and bitter for my taste. But he did make some good points for sure. But what Nick said towards the very end, and before he went into his real speech, he said, we appreciate Marjorie Greene showing her face here. She's an elected politician in it, she may not be perfect, but she's doing, I don't know if he said that, but he said she's in the fight, trying to fight, doing something. He said it's real easy for other people to say, oh, these people should be killed, which is a reference to Stu Peters saying that Fauci should be hanged, or this Jerome, whatever, some black guy who turned conservative supposedly, but he still supposedly hates whites, according to him, should get the electric chair. So Nick Fuentes says it's real easy to complain and say these people should get the death penalty and complain and sit, and he said that's basically what Stu Peters is doing without naming Stu Peters. But he respects and appreciates Marjorie Greene, one, for showing up at AFPAC, showing her face, and two, for being in the fight, even though, woman politician, we're not into that. Mm-hmm. But so I thought that was a perfect response, really, to that, because it was kind of classless to do that. Mm-hmm. Marjorie Greene is showing her face, and she isn't. It's a fair criticism of her, I think, what he said. But
if Marjorie Taylor Greene had known, if she was the mystery speaker, and if he made her, I think, the mystery speaker because if she had been advertised, she would have dropped out. So she would not have done it. And I don't think she necessarily knew.
How do you know that? Do you know that to be true, or is it speculation?
It is speculation.
Okay.
It is speculation. That's my opinion.
It may or may not be true. I don't know. But let's not get into speculation. Let's just appreciate.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Because she didn't.
That is speculation.
She didn't really she hasn't really, to my knowledge, disavowed him. Disavowed the conference.
She didn't know who he was. So what do you think about that also?
I don't know if that's pretense, because what is she's not, she's more, I heard that she was kind of into the Q thing, but who's to say that she knows who Nick Fuentes is, or what he's about? Donald Trump, too, didn't really know what David Duke was about. He hasn't kept up with what David Duke is about. So he said similar things.
She agreed to speak at his conference, and then she said, I've never heard Nick Fuentes before. I've never heard him speak a word.
Well, there were 1,200 people there, and I think Milo is the one who got her there. Did you hear that?
But do you really think that she didn't even Google who the guy throwing the conference was?
I couldn't.
I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't get into that speculation either. I think it's a fair statement to say, I don't know what he's about. I came to speak to 1,200 young people who love America, and that's a fair statement.
Yeah, but she said literally, I've never heard him speak before.
That totally may be true. I am quite quick to criticize her on where she is wrong, and I don't have any problem with Stu Peters' specific complaint, the facts. It's a bit difference between facts and truth. Facts are, you say something that's true, and okay, that's true. But truth is where you say it at the right time and place and in love. And I don't think Stu Peters spoke in love. But other people did really appreciate his speech. They enjoyed it too. You're not the only one. And I enjoyed some of it, for sure.
He probably wrote that about her before he knew that she was going to be there. I don't think that was improvised. So
I heard that he was so mad that she was speaking there. Man, I gotta go. We are overtime, Dielawn.
Okay.
Appreciate your call.
All right. Later.
Take care. That was Dielawn, my de facto producer. I think he has a Telegram as well. Anyway, Zenny says, Joe Arpaio's speech stunk. No, man, it was my second favorite. Seriously. I kind of wished it had been allowed to go on. But anyway, guys, this has been the Hake Report. I appreciate it. TheHakeReport.com. Thanks, and hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye.